The Diamond Heist by Shane Corfield. It was the biggest heist in history. A priceless diamond, known as the Star of New York, was on display at the prestigious Museum of Modern Art in the heart of Manhattan. The diamond was said to be worth billions of dollars, and it had been guarded for years by the most advanced security system in the world. A team of skilled thieves had been planning the heist for months. The team was made up of a group of strangers who had never worked together before, but they were all experts in their respective fields. There was Alex, the mastermind behind the heist, who had spent years studying the museum's security system. There was Jake, the getaway driver who could outrun any cop. There was Maria, the acrobat who could climb walls and bypass security cameras. And there was Sam, the explosives expert who could blow open any safe. The team knew that they had a slim chance of success, but they were willing to take the risk. They had spent weeks studying the museum's layout and the security system. They had even managed to acquire a replica of the diamond, which they had used to test their plan. The day of the heist arrived, and the team members met outside the museum, dressed in black and armed with the tools they needed to pull off the job. They knew that they had to act quickly and precisely if they were going to have any chance of success. Alex led the team into the museum through a side entrance, bypassing the guards at the main entrance. Maria climbed up to the ceiling and crawled along the air vents, avoiding the security cameras. Jake disabled the alarms and the security system, while Sam drilled into the safe where the diamond was kept. Finally, after hours of intense work, the team had the diamond in their hands. It was more magnificent than they could have ever imagined. But their celebration was short-lived when they heard the sound of approaching footsteps. "We've been made!" Jake yelled. The team knew that they had to get out of the museum, and fast. But they had to get past the guards first. Maria quickly came up with a plan. She would distract the guards by creating a diversion while the rest of the team made their escape. Maria leapt from the ceiling and swung down to the ground on a rope. She landed in front of the guards and began to perform an acrobatic routine, drawing their attention away from the exits. Meanwhile, the rest of the team made their way to the exit, but they found that it was blocked by more guards. Sam quickly took out a canister of smoke grenades and tossed them at the guards, creating a thick cloud of smoke that gave the team cover to escape. As they ran out of the museum, they could hear the alarms blaring and the sounds of sirens in the distance. They knew that they had to get out of the city and fast. They jumped into their getaway car and sped off, leaving the chaos behind them. The team had pulled off the heist of a lifetime, but they knew that their troubles were far from over. They still had to evade the police and figure out how to sell the diamond without getting caught. But they were determined to succeed, no matter what it took. Chapter 2: The Chase. The team drove through the empty streets of Manhattan, their hearts racing with adrenaline. They knew that they had to get out of the city as quickly as possible before the police caught up to them. Jake weaved through traffic, narrowly avoiding collisions with other vehicles. As they approached the outskirts of the city, they heard the sound of sirens behind them. The police were in pursuit, and they were getting closer by the minute. The team knew that they had to lose them if they were going to have any chance of getting away. Jake pushed the car to its limits, driving through red lights and swerving around other vehicles. Maria kept an eye on the police cars behind them, providing updates on their movements. Sam prepared their weapons, just in case they needed to defend themselves. Finally, after a nerve-wracking chase, they managed to lose the police cars. They pulled over to the side of the road to catch their breath and assess their situation. "We need to get off the streets and find a safe place to hide," Alex said. "But where are we going to go?" Jake asked. "I have a friend who owns a safe house in the countryside," Alex replied. "We can hide out there until things cool down." The team agreed that this was their best option, so they set off for the safe house. As they drove through the quiet countryside, they couldn't help but feel relieved that they had escaped the police. But they knew that their troubles were far from over. Chapter 3: The Betrayal. When they arrived at the safe house, the team was relieved to find that it was a cozy cabin in the middle of the woods. They settled in, grateful for the opportunity to rest and regroup. But their peace was short-lived. "I think we have a problem," Maria said as she looked at her phone. "The police have released a statement saying that they have identified us and are offering a reward for information leading to our capture." The team was stunned. They had taken every precaution to avoid being caught, but somehow the police had managed to identify them. They knew that they had to act fast if they were going to stay ahead of the law. But things went from bad to worse when Alex received a phone call from someone claiming to have information about the team. Alex was suspicious, but the caller claimed to be a potential buyer for the diamond, offering them a chance to sell it for a high price. The team agreed to meet with the buyer, but they knew that it was a risky move. They decided to bring their weapons with them, just in case things went south. When they arrived at the meeting place, they were met by a group of armed men. The team realized too late that they had been set up. The men demanded that they hand over the diamond, but the team refused to back down without a fight. A fierce gun battle broke out, with the team fighting for their lives against the armed men. But they were outnumbered and outgunned. Sam was shot in the leg, and Maria was grazed by a bullet. They knew that they had to retreat if they were going to make it out alive. As they ran for cover, they realized that Alex was nowhere to be seen. They called out his name, but there was no response. They feared the worst, that Alex had betrayed them and was working with the armed men. Chapter 4: The Fallout. The team made their way back to the safe house, their minds racing with questions. What had happened to Alex? Who were the men who had attacked them? And most importantly, what were they going to do with the diamond? As they tended to their wounds, they realized that they were in a difficult situation. They couldn't sell the diamond now that the police were looking for them, and they couldn't trust anyone to help them. They were on their own, but they knew that they had to keep moving. They couldn't stay in one place for too long, or the police would find them. They decided to split up and go their separate ways, hoping to avoid detection. Jake and Maria headed south, while Sam headed north. They agreed to meet up in a few days at a predetermined location hoping to regroup and come up with a new plan. As they traveled, they couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. They knew that they had made a mistake by trying to pull off the heist, but it was too late to turn back now. Finally, after several days of traveling, they arrived at the meeting place. But Sam was nowhere to be seen. They waited for hours, but he didn't show up. They began to fear the worst, that Sam had been caught by the police or that he had been killed by the armed men. But they refused to give up hope. They knew that they had to keep going, no matter what. Chapter 5: The Redemption. Days turned into weeks, and weeks turned into months. The team had gone their separate ways, but they remained in contact, hoping for a chance to redeem themselves. Finally, after months of lying low and avoiding the police, they received a message from someone claiming to have information about Sam's whereabouts. They knew that it was a risk, but they decided to investigate. They met with the informant, who revealed that Sam was being held captive by a rival gang. The gang had heard about the Diamond Heist and had decided to take matters into their own hands. The team knew that they had to act fast if they were going to rescue Sam. They gathered their weapons and set off to confront the gang. A fierce battle broke out, with the team fighting for their lives against the gang members. But they were determined to save Sam, no matter the cost. Finally, after a long and grueling fight, they managed to rescue Sam and escape with their lives. They had risked everything to save their friend, but they knew that it was worth it. As they drove away from the scene, they couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. They had redeemed themselves, in their own eyes at least. They knew that they would always be marked as criminals, but they had proven to themselves that they were more than just thieves. And as they headed off into the sunset, they couldn't help but wonder what other adventures lay ahead for them. They knew that they would always be on the run, but they were ready for whatever came their way.
Thank you for listening. Please check out my other audiobooks and consider dropping a like on the video. It helps me out a lot.